too many options. And that's the whole point. There can be some debate, so stay tuned for that.
Welcome back to Almighty Blues FC, a fan channel for all to see. Yes, it is a huge weekend and the build-up continues. This time with a combined 11. Yes, a combined 11 of Chelsea and Manchester United players. But you know what? I was thinking, if we do a combined 11 of the current lot based on the recent form, surely, I think at best a couple of Manchester United players will come in that team, right? So there's no fun in that. But anyway, before we begin, do comment below what is your combined 11 for the current lot between Chelsea and Manchester United. It'll be very interesting to know what you all think. And yes, we will not be discussing in detail, but before we begin, even let's smash that like button as well as subscribe if you haven't, and you will not be disappointed because we are bringing a lot of content, varied content, timely content. So stay tuned for more, and you do that by pressing that bell notification icon, and do share the link if you like it, because the more the merrier. And for this discussion, we have for the first time on Almighty Blues FC, and I'm glad to call him here. This is Chris. Chris, welcome to the channel. Great channel Chris has, by the way. The Football Agenda, you must check it out. The link is below as always. And I love the content. I know Chris is a Manchester United fan, but the Football Agenda covers a lot more than that. Just like Almighty Blues FC, right? So do follow them, give them a subscribe, and even Almighty Blues FC. But yes, Chris, you will agree, right? Current lot, combined 11, hardly the Manchester United players get through. What do you reckon? Quick view.
Hi Ankit, thank you for having me on. And for those of you that don't know, I'm Chris, I'm from the Football Agenda, but that's cheeky of you, Ankit, to suggest that Man United wouldn't have many players in the current combined 11. In fact, I would say the only major difference between Chelsea and Man United this season so far is Thomas Tuchel and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. If you think back to when Frank Lampard was in charge, Man United were the better side, were they not? However, looking at the current 11 and with Ralf Rangnick about to come in, what a manager. I'll give you goalkeeper, he's better. And I don't know if we're going to back four or a back five, but if we was to go for a back five centre-backs, I'd only give us one in there, which would be Rafael Varane. I think Rudiger and Thiago Silva would make up there. In terms of Chile versus Shaw, well, it's a tough one. They both had such inconsistent careers. Last year, Shaw was by far a better player, but this year, Chilwell was on an absolute another level, and Shaw has fallen off completely. Not a big fan of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, so you can have right back two. It's centre midfield, though, where you annihilate us. Kante, what a player, what a player, whether it be Jorginho. Look, we've got good players, we've got Pogba, we've got Donny van der Beek, but do they play? They don't play, so let's not talk about them too much, but maybe Ralf Rangnick will get them back in the team and playing well, although Pogba's out till the summer. In terms of a 10, we're playing all sorts of formations here, but Bruno Fernandes will definitely get into your side, and of course there's another player that would get in your team, Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the best players of all time. Other than that, it's pretty Chelsea heavy.
Interesting. But you know what? It's only fair to have basically a balanced combined 11, and that will come from an all-time Premier League combined 11. Yes, we are doing an all-time Premier League combined 11 of Chelsea and Manchester United. And if you have other names in mind, don't hesitate. Do comment below, because we would like to know what combined 11 and each position, what players you would want to go with, and any other memories that you have about those players, because we're talking about the Premier League era. So Chris, let's get into it. Okay, so in terms of the formation, we would be going with a 4-3-3, because a 4-3-3 kind of, allows many players in the team, because it's difficult to fit in players otherwise. Like, I have to be honest. And 4-3-3 obviously kind of is a mix between the old times and right now, as in 3 at the back is something that I know Chelsea goes with recently, but again, 4-3-3 kind of covers all bases, and both the teams have played in the past as well. Manager. The manager, for me, there's no debate for anyone, actually, right? As in, I don't even know why we are even mentioning that, because it is obvious. It's got to be Sir Alex Ferguson. I have to say it. Give it to him. Sir Alex Ferguson is the greatest manager of all time. That's how I believe it. At least from the time I've been following football, and it's been over 20 years. Yes, Sir Alex Ferguson has managed Manchester United for 27 years. You heard that right, for people who don't know, just in case. And he's won them 13 titles. Wow. something else. But yes, honorable mention, of course, to Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho brought back laurels back to Chelsea. After 50 years, we won the league title. He has won 3 league titles with Chelsea and over 2 stints in just 5.5 years. So yes, the greatest manager of Chelsea Football Club is what I would like to say. Of course, he's managed other clubs as well, but yeah, we are considering Chelsea. And of course, Manchester United, how can we forget? He managed Manchester United, wow. But yeah, it has to be definitely Sir Alex Ferguson. And again, for every position in the team, going ahead, we would be at least discussing a couple names from each side. So for a position, you can expect at least 4 player names to be discussed. And again, put in your comments below, what do you think about each position? And Chris, quickly going on to you about the manager. No debates there, but anything that you would like to add about Sir Alex Ferguson, why he's the best manager of all time?
Well, the thing is, this is a little bit unfair on you Chelsea fans, because when any manager is going up against Sir Alex Ferguson, they're never going to win. But if you're judging Thomas Tuchel off the year that he's been at Chelsea, he's already won the Champions League. They're currently top of the Premier League, doing an amazing job. But look, Sir Alex Ferguson won a Champions League in '99, another one in 2008, got to 2 more finals. I've lost count of how many Premier Leagues that we won during his tenure. He revolutionised the Premier League, the style in which it was played, and was swashbuckling, attacking football for years and years. In fact, Man United is still recovering now from never really being able to hit them heights again. And hopefully, we're starting to see a change in the very near future. But you're right, there's no debate there. Sir Alex Ferguson, most trophies, great philosophy, always entertaining, and ultimately dominated the Premier League for a period of time that nobody will ever do again or has ever done before him.
Yeah, very well said there. The first position has to be the goalkeeper, right, in between the sticks. So it's interesting. Obviously, we'll talk about a lot of goalkeepers, but Manchester United have had, I think, quite a few goalkeepers there, right? The first and foremost name that I would take is Peter Schmeichel. Well, this was one of the goalkeepers of all time. 112 clean sheets? Wow. Some record that. And then he was followed by, later on, after a few years, Edwin van der Sar. I'm a Dutch fan, everyone knows that, I hope. But Edwin van der Sar was a different level. Moved from Fulham, if I remember right. And this guy actually got 90 clean sheets and was essential towards the end of the Ferguson era. Won titles for fun with United towards the end, that is. And yes, I think he had everything what a keeper really needs, right? As in the height, the reach, the flexibility, he had it everything. Edwin van der Sar. But honorable mention, I think I would still go with Peter Schmeichel over him. And the third mention that Manchester United fans would want to have is David De Gea. He had what? 124. Yes, 124 clean sheets. Different level, right? One of the highest clean sheets for a goalkeeper, at least for Manchester United, right? But he's not had as many league titles, and that is what goes against him, I would say, because of the team that he's playing in. I don't know, and that's something that I would go with. And plus, he's not finished his career yet, so maybe he gets there, I don't know. But the guy that I think surpasses everyone has to be Petr Cech. Petr Cech, not just for Chelsea, but for Arsenal as well, I have to say that. But for Chelsea, obviously, he's a Chelsea legend. Still at Chelsea, by the way. 162 clean sheets for Chelsea. 202 overall. 202 is the highest number of clean sheets ever in the Premier League. So going with that, not just the longevity, but when Petr Cech was in goal, you knew that would be a clean sheet. Part of that record-breaking season at Chelsea in 2005. It has to be Petr Cech. I'll go with Petr Cech in goal. Chris, over to you. I'm sure you would have an argument for Schmeichel, but what do you reckon?
I do have an argument for Peter Schmeichel, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to defend my team here. Peter Schmeichel is undoubtedly better than Petr Cech. Look, Petr Cech, the thing with him is you've got to remember that when he played under Jose Mourinho's team, which was his best period, was a much more defensive-minded team, lots of clean sheets. You're right about the record, it's fantastic. But at Man United, things were a lot more difficult. Ferguson's swashbuckling, attacking style, got counter-attacked on a lot. Peter Schmeichel exposed a lot, and his saves were absolutely incredible. For those of you that don't know, Peter Schmeichel, before he played football, used to play handball, hence the big star jump, and it was such a unique goalkeeper, charismatic. Petr Cech, put your medals on the table.
But yes, moving on to the left back spot now. The left back spot is interesting, and there will be a lot of debate here. I know a lot of legends of Manchester United have said that Dennis Irwin was the person. Sir Alex Ferguson, that he spoke about recently, just a few minutes ago, he and Roy Keane, the captain of Manchester United at the time, like these are two people who always said Dennis Irwin got an 8 out of 10 almost every game. That's how good he was. And the longevity is there. Yes, we would be considering longevity as well as quality in this team, not one or the other, definitely both. Dennis Irwin, the Irishman, had good set pieces on him. He played 328 times for Manchester United in the league. 123 clean sheets is what he was part of. He won 7 titles in 11 years in the Premier League. I know one with Wolves, but yeah, I think he didn't win, but yeah, he played with Wolves, but 7 in 11 years. That's something else. Another Manchester United player that I would like to mention as an option, Chris, is Patrice Evra. Patrice Evra, when he came to England, was obviously thought about as someone who cannot understand the culture, took a lot of time in the first couple of months, but then once he got it, he was something else. Like, of course, Patrice Evra, people don't recognize how good he was because Manchester United were beginning to become very, very dominant again. 278 appearances in the league for Manchester United, 98 clean sheets, 5 titles. Definitely worth considering, very close to Irwin for me. Let's move to Chelsea. Let's talk about Chelsea as well. Come on. Now, the left back that I think yesteryear's Chelsea fans would definitely recall first is Graham Lesaux. Graham Lesaux is a Chelsea legend because he came to Chelsea twice. Yes, 2 stints with Chelsea, and he was great at basically providing assists. I think over a career, he got about 44 assists, something, right, for a left back, and 327 appearances. That is a long career in the EPL. 92 clean sheets he was part of. Again, he did not win any title with Chelsea, but that title that he won with Blackburn cannot be forgotten either. Before everything, we have to basically mention this person because Ashley Cole was the definition of left back in the Premier League. Someone who had energy, someone who had skill. He could do literally everything. Ashley Cole, when he moved to Arsenal, moved from Arsenal to Chelsea, was the big news. He was supposed to be the Cashley Cole and whatnot, but the guy knew what he was doing. He won 2 titles with Arsenal, only one with Chelsea in terms of the Premier League, but he won a lot more with Chelsea overall. Definitely, we are celebrating the player here in the EPL. Of course, belong to Chelsea is what I would say at the end of the day. 385 appearances, 148 clean sheets. Among the options I mentioned, the highest number of clean sheets he was part of. 3 league titles in all. Ashley Cole, I know we wouldn't be taking only the stats into consideration, and this is a prime example because as much as Dennis Irwin is fantastic, again, maybe it's me, I've not really watched Dennis Irwin live, but Ashley Cole I have, and for the matter of fact, I know that he is the best fullback ever. Like, that's for me. Roberto Carlos, you might call, but yes, for me, there is a debate because it is something like Reece James versus Trent Alexander-Arnold. Maybe not now, maybe in the future it will become, because Ashley Cole is someone who could do everything, defend, attack, and everything. Ronaldo has gone on record saying that he's the best fullback he's played against. Now, that is something, right? As in, obviously, we're talking about Cristiano Ronaldo, who was great as a winger, and we'll come to that later. But Chris, I hope you're going with Ashley Cole at the left back. What do you think is the best option here?
In terms of left back, I think you make a really good argument for Ashley Cole, and it's hard to argue against it, but I do want to give a shout out to Patrice Evra. We've done the Ashley Cole versus Dennis Irwin, and Dennis Irwin is undoubtedly Man United's maybe best left back ever, definitely best left back of the Premier League era, but only marginally above Patrice Evra. But I think you're right. I think Ashley Cole, all things considered, the best left back for this combination.
Coming to centre back position. 2 positions. Now, I'll give you 8 options, Chris, and we'll need to select 2 players somehow. It's a tough choice, I must say. Too many good centre backs around in Manchester United and Chelsea. Let's start from Chelsea this time. I think one of the players who was basically underrated at the time as well as still not given the kind of, plaudits that he deserves for me is Ricardo Carvalho. Ricardo Carvalho was a Rolls Royce of a player. I know we talk about Virgil van Dijk and the like, and I'm not comparing here, but Carvalho literally could do everything what Van Dijk could do. Of course, Not as much in terms of ball playing as much as Van Dijk could do, but you never know. In today's day and age, if he had still played football, he would have developed that as well. And more importantly, he was a player who a lot of times people say protected his centre-back partner. And we'll come to that as well. But yes, Ricardo Carvalho brought about a sense of calmness to the back line. 3 titles with Chelsea and the prime of Chelsea coming back to, the power, first time rather, right? 135 appearances, great player, simply put. Real Madrid, in their prime as a club, do not buy a centre-back just like that. Another player who's also underrated is Marcel the Rock Desai. Yes, Marcel Desai was something else because he was a winner. At the time, Chelsea weren't winning lots, yes, but he brought about that mentality, that steal to the back line. And not only that, he was a shining example for the John Terry. And we'll come to that, but Desai, hats off to you. Honorable mention, of course, 54 clean sheets in just 158 appearances and a captaincy material as well, don't forget. Talking about captains, John Terry. Now, John Terry, JT is the man. Like, obviously, you can see there, JT. I'm a JT fan, a JT stan, but no two ways about it. Anyone, if you ask, based on footballing ability alone, whom would you pick first in your squad? John Terry has to be right up there. And as a defender, for sure, the best defender of all time in the Premier League. 492 appearances, 214 clean sheets, the most in the Premier League. 41 goals. Again, the most by any defender in the Premier League. Yes, he is often thought about by this generation as someone who could possibly defend very well, but people forget he could score a lot of goals, and not just that, he could pass the ball. He had a great left foot on him as well, not only the right foot. This guy could pass like 50 yards, with the left foot diagonally, awesome passes. The guy could play and could read the game as well. That is what a centre back needs to be. Awesome player and captain. Like, he captained Chelsea to 5 titles. That's no joke. The comeback king for Chelsea, captain, leader, legend, John Terry. He's got to be in there. I'm putting him in before I even go to the Manchester United options. Sorry, Chris. But yes, Chris, coming to the other options, I think one player that is possibly a John Terry-esque kind of a player is Nemanja Vidic. Nemanja Vidic was something else. Like, this guy, he adapted very well to the Premier League. Like, very few adapt the way he did. Of course, his strength was something else altogether, like I've been saying. But 211 appearances, 95 clean sheets, and again, a captaincy material. Nemanja Vidic, I think honorable mention is what I would say. Unfortunately, misses out. Jaap Stam, yes, Jaap Stam definitely. 3 seasons, yes, only 3 seasons. But in those 3 seasons, he won 3 league titles. Cannot be a coincidence. 3 league titles with Manchester United, and Peter Schmeichel has gone on record saying that this is the best centre-back that he's played with. Now, that is some statement of Peter Schmeichel tells that, right? Let's talk about the other centre-back, Rio Ferdinand. Rio Ferdinand is someone who could play the ball. Wow. Rolls-Royce, he was true Rolls-Royce. And he was strong, had the height as well. Rio Ferdinand had the longevity as well. 504 appearances. Highest among all the options that I mentioned. 189 clean sheets. 6 titles with Manchester United. He has to be there. So, unfortunately for Carvalho, Vidic of the likes, I'm going to get in Rio Ferdinand along with John Terry. Chris, over to you. I'm sure you would agree, the best centre-back in English football history. Would you go with that? I know, a couple of honourable mentions. Of course, Manchester United had a great centre-back partnership back in the day with Steve Bruce and Pallister. So yes, honourable mention at best. But Chris, over to you.
In terms of centre-back, it's really hard to argue with a Rio Ferdinand and John Terry centre-back partnership. I get that, but I'm going to try. Even from Chelsea's point of view, was Marcel Desailly not as good as John Terry? The Marcel Desailly that won the World Cup, the Marcel Desailly that was in your top 4 team at a time before Roman Abramovich and all of his millions of pounds, in a team that was not as good as Jose Mourinho's and the teams that succeeded those. I think you're being a little bit... well, not harsh, because John Terry was captain, leader, and was with you for a very long time. But Marcel Desailly deserves an honourable mention. And as for Man United, plenty to choose from. Nemanja Vidic, what a player. Multiple Premier League winner, Champions League winner in 2008. And I honestly think that Vidic is every good as bit as John Terry. But look, the two English guys are always going to get spoken about in the Premier League. That's just the way things are. But Rio Ferdinand and ManUtdFan for me were amazing. And we're leaving out Jaap Stam as well. The thing with this is that Man United have been a top team ever since the Premier League's inception in 1990. So there's far more choice here when you're going through Man United players. That's the Chelsea who were good, but not good for that long before Roman Abramovich's billions of pounds came into it and excelled them even further and took them onto another level. And they were able to bring in international stars and actually lifted the entire Premier League in terms of quality, if truth be told. But I'm going to go with you. But just John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, Rolls Royce.
Everyone watching, do again comment below. Do you agree with our choices or not? And any options that we are missing even to discuss about, right? Because again, each position we are trying to bring in just a couple of options from each team, to be fair. And overall maybe a position having 4 options. So let's get to the right back spot. For the right back spot, talk about Chelsea. Chelsea, obviously, we remember Branislav Ivanovic, the person who scored goals for fun from right back. The highest number of goals as a right back. 22 goals in the league. 274 appearances. 88 clean sheets. 3 titles with Chelsea. He's got to be there, right? As in, the kind of right back he was, he had everything in him. But Chelsea fans, you would also say, Cesar Azpilicueta, often underrated. 9th year in Chelsea Football Club in the league. Already won 2 titles. And the definition of versatility. He can play right back, right wing back, left wing back, right centre back, left centre back. Anywhere across the back line. Put him in goal, I won't be surprised. But yes, honourable mention at best, because I think he's still playing and hopefully he gets there. In terms of league titles, I would hope that he would win at least a couple more. But again, going to Manchester United options, one name that stands out above anyone else has to be Gary Neville. Yes, we all know him as a pundit today, but Gary Neville had 400 appearances in the league, 148 clean sheets, highest among all the options that I'm speaking, 8 titles with United. Yes, I'm not liking saying that, but it's a fact. Class of 92, very much a part of it. So going with that level of longevity and kind of success, and he was good at crosses, often underestimated on that, So for me, it has to be just edging over Ivanovic, Gary Neville, and another honourable mention for a Manchester United player, Antonio Valencia, who actually spent, believe it or not, 10 years at United and won 2 titles as well. Adapted himself to the right back position from right winger. So yes, Chris, I'm sure you would go with Gary Neville, but anything you have to add about Gary Neville, please go ahead, mate.
Right back's probably the hardest one to pick when you're doing a Man United Chelsea combined 11, because actually Chelsea have struggled with right back over the years. Ivanovic is without a doubt Chelsea's best right back, I would say, but before that you're looking at Paulo Ferreira, Bozingwa, and everybody that Jose Mourinho and co tried to transform into right backs and make that position work. They got it wrong multiple times, but United obviously had that academy guy that you spoke about, Gary Neville, that won silly amounts of titles. Was he one of the best players on the pitch at Man United? No, he wasn't, but he was a mainstay, a consistent player, a 7 out of 10 every single week. And to be honest, you look beyond Gary Neville when you start getting into your Wes Browns, your Raphaels, your Dallos, your Wan-Bissakas, your Antonio Valencia converted right back. Even Ashley Young had a stint out there. It's not exactly been a glorious position for Manchester United over the year. And when you look at both teams, Gary Neville was probably the best of a fairly average bunch.
Well, the team is shaping up. Moving on to midfield. 3 positions for midfield. Now 3 positions, how many options do I give you? 10? 10 is fair? Yeah, 10 options and you have to pick just 3. Some midfielders we've had over the years. Now for United, Roy Keane, we have to start there. Captain United for what? 7 titles? Not only that, the personality that Roy Keane is. We all remember that tunnel episode against Vieira. But not just that, the kicks that he had. Again, not just of people, but yes, he could play ball. Often underestimated that this guy could only kick. No, he could play ball. And that is why he was there in that successful United side. Roy Keane, I think he's got to be a shoo-in, right? Let's talk about other options. David Beckham, yes, he could play right centre back as well, right central midfielder as well. And I think with the formation we have, I think right central midfielder is best suited for him. So would you go with David Beckham? 80 assists, I think, in the Premier League, and he's had what? 18 free kick goals. Yes, direct free kick goals, the highest in the career for anyone in the English Premier League. So 18 free kick goals, something that you cannot ignore. Yes, that's a great option, but I think the other name that United fans will say that, hey, it's got to be Paul Scholes. Legends, if you talk to them, who are the best midfielder? Scholes, Lampard, Gerrard. Many of them go with Scholes, and for a reason. The guy could play football. He loved football, and yes, probably now as a pundit, he might say that Man United have a better defense than Chelsea. But he knew how to play in central attacking midfield role. 11 titles, and he could just pass the ball for fun. 102 goals, something that he's not really remembered for, but that is something that you need to definitely count in. So yes, Paul Scholes has got to be a shoo-in. But talking about Paul Scholes, just mentioned there Frank Lampard, the history maker for Chelsea, the greatest Chelsea player, some people say. 177 goals. Wow. That's just in the league, by the way. 3 titles with Chelsea, and not just that, he was a vice captain, and without him, pretty sure we wouldn't have won the titles. That's how important he was to Chelsea. Gotta be in. Frank Lampard, just be there. Again, not as a manager, as a player, just a reminder. Now, I've already put in Frank Lampard and Paul Scholes, so there's got to be a defensive player. By the way, Frank Lampard could defend as well. People think he's a central attacking midfielder only. No, he was playing in the double pivot a lot of times as well. So, talking about the other person who could defend, Makelele, Claude Makelele. Now, the position was named after him. The Makelele role, he's got to be in there, right? For sure. Zidane famously told, when I think Real Madrid sold him and bought Beckham, why are we selling an engine and beautifying things? When the engine is gone, there's no use of beautifying. And that was Makelele for you, the engine of any team that he was part of. 3 titles with Chelsea. Makelele for me over Roy Keane just edges it. Again, honorable mentions, N'Golo Conte. N'Golo Conte definitely deserves a mention, but yes. Not enough in terms of longevity. He will be there. He will certainly get there. I believe that he will surpass everyone, but not right now because he's having 2 titles, one with Leicester, one with Chelsea. In England, he's got to prove a lot more, but on ability alone, deserves a shout out. Fabregas, yes, says Fabregas, 111 assists, the most in the league. Second most in the league. He's got to definitely have his name, but unfortunately, we don't have a position for him. So, deserves an honorable mention for sure. Cesc is magic. Yes, Fabregas is magic. We all know that. And Michael Essien. Michael Essien deserves a shout out for sure because in his prime, the example of what a midfielder should be is Michael Essien. Yes, people might say Steven Gerrard. Michael Essien was all that Steven Gerrard could do and much more in defense. And versatile. Could play right back, right centre back, left back. I have seen him play. But just a shame that he was injured at the wrong time and then his career went downhill. But nevertheless, great servant for Chelsea Football Club, always ready to play. He was fantastic and deserves a shout out for sure. And for Manchester United, Bruno Fernandes, well, I know it's too early. Comment below if you agree, but deserves a shout out for the kind of goal scoring record that he's already had. Cannot deny that, he has quality. Yes, maybe he'll get in like a Frank Lampard years down the line, who knows, but right now, a mention at least. So yes, do let me know what do you all think. But yes, over to Chris. Chris, lot of options. Now for me, it has to be Makelele has to play that defensive role along with Lampard and Paul Scholes. Over to you.
Picking a Man United Chelsea midfield 3 from the Premier League era is probably going to be the hardest part of this video. They've both had ridiculous amounts of world-class midfielders throughout this time. Look, you've left out Roy Keane. I can't let that go lying down. I know you acknowledged it, but it was Man United's captain. He was Man United's captain of the most dominant era of any football team in Premier League history. I mean, he had the quality. People think that he was just this 50-50 challenge guy that was rough and ready, but he could play football. And I'm not disregarding the guy that won all those trophies, was captain of it, and lifted absolutely everything. Paul Scholes, magician, absolute magician. This Gerrard, Lampard, Paul Scholes debate that every Chelsea fan will tell you was Lampard, every Liverpool fan will tell you it was Steven Gerrard, and every single Man United fan would be Paul Scholes. But you've just got to listen to opposition players. When you hear people like Xavi, Iniesta, Pirlo, when they talk about midfielders, it's always Paul Scholes. Paul Scholes' name is in everybody's mouth when it comes to great midfield players. Lampard, to me, a little bit more advanced, scored a lot of goals, but Scholes was an absolute regista on the ball, unreal football player, and I'm struggling to put either of them out of my team, so I'm not going to. But Chelsea do have one in that midfield three, maybe one of the most underrated players outside of Chelsea fans to grace the game, and that is Claude Makelele. Claude Makelele created that CDM in a way that it is played today. A lot of players were box to box in those days. A lot of players that were CDMs like to get forward or more of a third man central defensive midfielder. Claude Makelele was positionally perfect, great at intercepting, great at tackling, and could pass forward. And that part of his game is not acknowledged enough, because it wasn't a matter of picking the ball, passing backwards or sideways. He was great at playing the ball back between the lines and letting Chelsea advance forward, and he was amazing at it. And I can imagine having the box-to-box Roy Keane on one side of him and the absolute finesse of Paul Scholes to the left side of him. Hard job leaving Frank Lampard out. I'm going to do it again. Put your medals on the table, Frank.
Oh, coming to the wingers. Now, I love the wingers, but a lot of great wingers over the years again. Well, this team is getting tough and tough to select, right? A lot of controversies I'm sure I'm going to create, but yes, do comment below what do you all think for this position as well as the others. But yes, Manchester United wingers, one name which pops out has to be Ryan Giggs. Now, he is something, definition of longevity, 22 years, 15 league titles, 13 league titles, I'm sorry, 162 assists, scored goals for fun as well, and some quality goals at that. Could play midfield as well. Towards the end of the career, we saw that. Class of 92. Just like Scholes, Beckham, Neville. But Ryan Giggs was among the best and he got so much success. Yes, he did not win the Player of the Year even once, if I remember right, or the Golden Boot either. But as a winger, he was great in his prime and had longevity as well. So Ryan Giggs, I'm actually putting you in. Yes, already. First option. Well, the second option, one Manchester United winger over the years that people might remember is David Ginola. Now, David Ginola, not many might recall actually, but he actually won the PFA Player of the Year when Manchester United won that treble in 1999. So yes, David Ginola definitely deserves a big shout out, but because of his lack of longevity compared to the others, I would not put him. And the third option that I have from Manchester United has to be Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo. I know he plays as centre forward right now, but come on, he made his name as a winger who could score goals for fun, created all sorts of records when he scored as a winger, won Ballon d'Ors, GOAT. Got to be there, right? We'll get to that, but yes, he got United a hat-trick of titles, and without him again, just like Lampard for Chelsea, United wouldn't have won those titles without Ronaldo. So yes, in 6 seasons that he spent, he has developed that name already. And of course, the comeback he's made now. Let's see how it does. But moving on to Chelsea now. I don't know, my voice might crack up now because Ian Robin. I know, talking about winger, the first name which comes to my mind is Ian Robin. My favorite ever player, the player who made me love football. I know I used to follow football before that, but the player who actually really made me love the game so much. Just 2 titles with Chelsea, you can say, but in a short span of time was literally playing every time he was fit. Yes, a little bit injury prone, but deserves a shout out. Similar injury prone player, Joe Cole. Yes, he was not a left footer like Robin, but great ability. Could play number 10, could play on the wings. He's got 8 trophies with Chelsea overall. So yes, Joe Cole deserves a mention. And whom did Joe Cole replace? Joe Cole was brought in to replace eventually Gianfranco Zola. the magician, the true magician. I know Chris is a fan, but I myself started following football, and one of the first I took notice of was Gianfranco Zola. Superb. 12 direct free kick goals as well. Would he be there, but I don't think so. I think one player that we miss is Eden Hazard. Now, when he played for Chelsea, it was basically Eden Hazard FC, as we are famously called, right? He was Chelsea Football Club, and that was a time as well. It was about all Eden Hazard. Pass the ball to him. He is the one who created everything. Yes, he won only 2 league titles, you can say that, but was Player of the Year. Eden Hazard deserves definitely a spot maybe in the team. Like, what do you think? Like, for me, it is a difficult choice. Hazard, Robin, Joe Cole, Zola, Damien Duff, even I could have mentioned. For United, one name that I mentioned or did not mention is Nani. Nani was great towards the end of that Ferguson era and often kind of not remembered as much as what he should be. But yeah, I'm going with Giggs and Ronaldo. I have to go with Giggs and Ronaldo. It pains me to say it, but I think the longevity as well as the quality overall at world stage, it has to be Giggs and Ronaldo. What about you, Chris? I'm sure like there's no disagreement there, but anything that you would like to add about Giggs, Ronaldo, or anyone in particular for the wing position?
In terms of wingers, well, let's play this fair. Chelsea's had their fair share. I'm going back to Robin, Damien Duff. Sometimes you play Werner out there nowadays. Eden Hazard. What a player. Man United though, isn't it? Right wing, Cristiano Ronaldo. In my view, the best player to grace football ever. Some people will say that's Messi. Nobody's saying it's Sean Wright-Phillips. The right winger position has definitely got to go to Cristiano Ronaldo. It's not really worth a debate, is it? But we'll put it out there. Ronaldo, the right winger of this combined 11, or any combined 11 to ever take place on any channel. Surely. Left mid, do you know what? It's a little bit trickier. Because actually, if Eden Hazard would have stayed at Chelsea throughout his career and performed like he performed in the 2 seasons where he was incredible for Chelsea, then he could have gone head for head for Ryan Giggs. And dare I say it, in those 2 seasons, he maybe had better seasons than most of Ryan Giggs' season. But because of longevity, because of the record of most Premier Leagues won, because of playing all the way to 40, because of his consistency, great moments. The FA Cup semi-final comes to mind where he ran the old Arsenal team and put it in the top corner. For longevity, consistency over time, and the fact that Eden Hazard went missing for season upon season, 1 season in, 1 season out, it's got to be Ryan Giggs. Model professional, brilliant football player, and Man United are going to win this round. I agree with you on this one, Ankit. Ryan Giggs, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh, we're almost there. Anyway, people, I hope you've gotten your team below and every position, whether you like a debate or not. But Chris, centre forward, just a travesty, right? The formation we are going with, we can pick only one proper centre forward. And United and Chelsea, the dominant teams in the Premier League in the last, 30 years almost, and only one centre forward, come on. It is what it is. Well, for United, definitely Wayne Rooney. I think in terms of numbers, the best centre forward that United has ever had. 208 Premier League goals. Andy Cole, 187 Premier League goals. And not just the numbers, these players were instrumental in them winning leagues and were great team players as well. Van Nistelrooy, yes, of course, when I started playing football, or rather watching football, Van Nistelrooy was definitely the guy, the pin-up boy for United at a time. So yes, honourable mention, but talking about pin-up boys, Eric Cantona, he's got to be the player who transformed the Premier League the most. I know he got that ban for that kung fu kick, but has won 4 league titles with United. I know scored around 64 goals, a lot less than the other names that we spoke about. But the impact that he had, probably no one in the Premier League ever had. So yes, among these options of United, difficult choice. But yes, talking about Chelsea options, I think in the yesteryears we had Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. Hasselbank was really underrated by players or basically even managers and fans of today, because this guy did not win lots in the Premier League, but he got the 2 golden boots, and that showed what he was. Without having the supply that probably he did not have at the time, he actually got those golden boots. could score screamers, any type of goals in fact. But yes, just an honorable mention. And talking about him, the guy who eventually replaced him in the long run was Didier Drogba. Now, Drogba for me has to be in there. I know in terms of numbers, he's slightly behind Andy Cole and Wayne Rooney, 104 league goals. But over 2 stints at Chelsea, he's won 4 league titles and instrumental to those 4 league titles, almost alone at times. Yes, won a couple of golden boots as well. Drogba, he scared defenders. And that is what he brings. So this team, I would love to have a Drogba, and Rooney just misses out, I must say. Honorable mention to Diego Costa, who also people are scared of at times, but didn't have many seasons. Having said that, had 2 league titles for Chelsea in just 3 years. So yes, kudos to Diego Costa as well. But whom would you have? Chris, don't tell me, come on. Are you going with Wayne Rooney? Come on. Drogba kind of suits the players that we've gone with, right?
The striker position, the centre forward. Wow, you've gone with Didier Drogba, and I can see why. Physical presence, unbelievable goals. I have to say, Drogba has some of the best reel of wonderful goals. 25 yards, 40 yards, ridiculous strikes from all over. Mad physical presence, could hold the ball up really well. Great in the air. What a player. What an incredible football player Didier Drogba was up front. You mentioned him, the king, Eric Cantona. And let me tell you something about the king, Eric Cantona. Why he's held in such high regard by Manchester United players. He changed the team. He changed the team in a way that Drogba didn't do. Nobody's really done for their team before. This was the class of 92. This was young Manchester United Academy players coming into a Manchester United team that hadn't won the league yet under Sir Alex Ferguson, had underperformed a lot of the years that were under pressure. Sir Alex Ferguson was under pressure. And then this class of 92 came through. Your Beckhams, your Gary Nevilles, your Paul Scholes, Phil Neville as well. Obviously Roy Keane bought him in. This young team that came through, and I know I've missed some out there. And then the king arrived. And Eric Cantona, I don't want to say single-handedly won the title, because all of those other players mentioned deserved credit. Ryan Giggs, obviously, we mentioned him before. But Cantona has got to be the most influential player to ever join a team and transform a team as much as Eric Cantona had. And that's why, on top of the obvious, that he's a brilliant player, great to watch, great charisma and everything else, also he was the caveat for Manchester United's success. Him and obviously the great Sir Alex. However, there's Ruud van Nistelrooy, who was brilliant. You had Andy Cole and Dwight York, who were sensational. And Chelsea, Gianfranco Zola, the little magician, and he is my favourite ever Chelsea footballer, Gianfranco Zola. Wow, he's one of the most gifted players I've ever seen on a football pitch. Again, incredible footballer. Gianluca Vialli, brilliant football player. We've had some special players between us in centre forward, but you'll probably already noticed there's one name missing, and one name that can only be the name, the second highest scorer in Premier League history ever, and that man is Wayne Rooney. I've got Wayne Rooney up front.
So yes guys, there we are. I hope you liked it. This is our 11. I know it might be a little bit biased from either of us, but we have tried to put in our neutral hat and gone with this. And comment below, what do you think about each player, and do you think we missed many options as well, and whom do you think from the current lot would get into this side in the future? Thanks for watching, but before I see you off, Chris, got to thank you as well. The platform is all yours. Please plug in your channel, tell us something about it, and anything you would like to add about this weekend's fixture or Chelsea or this channel as well.
That was a really fun stream. When you start thinking about all the players that Chelsea and Man United have had together, it's incredible, really. No wonder they've dominated and been the most successful teams between them. Some amazing players there we spoke about, and loads that we haven't. But all in all, Manchester United, the most successful team in Premier League history, it's been rubbish for the last few years. And I'm hoping with Ralph Rangnick coming in, we might start to see a change. Not necessarily this season. I'm not even talking about him being a manager, although he does like the Gergen pressing, and it's going to be really exciting to watch. But he's only here for 6 months, and then after that, he's moving upstairs, and that's the really exciting bit. I'm looking forward to seeing Ralph Rangnick in consultation role, speaking to scouts, speaking about development, speaking to the coaches, and having someone on board that's actually a football person. If you look at the record of some of the players that he's bought for such low prices and discovered, and you look at Klopp and Tuchel, Nagelsmann, all learnt from this guy. It's exciting times for Manchester United. And yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you, Ankit, for having me first and foremost. And if you're interested in seeing the kind of content we do on the Football Agenda, then head over, subscribe to the channel, smash a like. Of course, subscribe to this one if you haven't already. Again, thank you. I'm off. Goodbye.
Always a pleasure, Chris. I hope this is first of many. And please follow Chris's channel. The link is below. And Almighty Blues FC as well. Thanks for 600 subscribers again. And I hope we double in a couple of months' time. Till next time, take care. Up the Chels. Sorry, Manchester United fans and Chris, but yes, got to go with that. Peace out.